If they decide in favour of that open cast mine, I'll be absolutely devastated.
This area historically has been poor because of open cast mining, not in spite of open cast mining.
It's a beautiful beach, it's unspoilt, there's lots of wildlife here, so that's why people come here.
Any planning decisions that are taken must take climate change into account. It's the single biggest threat to our economy, to our social structures.
This is a decision that is important for the next decades and for a long time into the future.
I think people feel disbelief. How can you put something which scars the land so badly on such a beautiful place?
We live in the southeast corner of Northumberland. A beautiful area, loads of wildlife.
Deer! There! You see it, Dad?
Yeah, one of the best beaches in the UK, probably in the top half a dozen.
Been here 17 years. We wanted space, a quiet life. It's tranquil here, it's clean, the children are safe to play around.
The boundary of the open cast will be on the corner of this sign saying public footpath to Hemscott Hill.
Our property's just here, you can see here.
The boundary is going to be 10 metres away.
We are going to be surrounded. It's horrifying.
Everything in front of you that you can see between us and the sea, you won't be able to see when Banks Mining start to dig.
We're going to have all this dust surrounding us for years. We've all got chest conditions. What impact is that going to have on all of us? The roads are going to be overloaded. The roads are very fast along here because it's a 60 mile an hour. You're going to have lorries trying to pull out. It's going to be extremely dangerous.
I've spent all of my life in this part of our county. Over the last 30 years, this area has changed substantially. Druridge Bay is the nearest of Northumberland's wild beaches to the big populations of Northumberland and Townside. But also it's become part of Northumberland's national tourist offer. People come from other parts of the country to have a week's holiday here. They come time and time again. It's bringing in a lot of money.
Been coming here for years, ever since I was a little boy.
It's a really special place.
Take something like this away from people like us is more than just taking away a beach to come and walk on a nice sunny day. How can you put something which scars the land so badly on such a beautiful place?
The argument is it's not on the beach. We know that. It's over on the other side of the dunes, but it's the effect that it has.
There is no high-level expert report analysing what this mine will do for our community. I think that's because banks well know that open cast mining devastates the economics of surrounding communities. Property values in the vicinity of open cast mines are much lower than would otherwise be the case. Now, I'm not interested in anybody's house prices. I'm not going to be selling my house. But in land values is a community's capital. If you're a business and 40% is wiped off your capital asset value because of your neighbour's activity, you no longer have the capital on which to borrow, to expand, to take on new employees. It might be the difference between continued trade and your bank putting the administrator in on a revaluation. It casts an economic pall over an entire area.
Their sole argument is that this is going to bring jobs. If you actually approach banks, they're scared about the issue.
There's no enforceable promise of new employment. It may be that those who presently work on other sites operated by banks come to work on this mine, but there won't be jobs for the men and women of Widdrington Station.
We could use renewable energy and that would bring this amount of jobs as well. Why is it only coal?
Coal is one of the worst, if not the worst, and the most polluting fossil fuel that's available to us.
We've got wind turbines, they're a lot cleaner. That's the way we should be going. They don't spoil the landscape to the same extent that that the opencast does?
Renewable energy is a lot more competitive than it used to be. Onshore wind is very competitive, for example, with conventional generation.
Renewables have an important role to play in our power generation over the next decades. The proposal would result in something like 11 million tonnes of CO2 going into the atmosphere. On its own, that may not be a large proportion of what's been produced globally, but everything we put up there stays up there. The impacts of climate change in northeast England are well studied. The sort of things we're most concerned about include increases in flooding. We saw in Newcastle in 2012 an intense thunderstorm which caused over £10 million worth of damage.
You see flood events and storm events damaging roads in Northumberland. That damages the ability of those rural populations to develop businesses, to have access to the infrastructure they need to have a good, strong rural economy. If we continue to burn fossil fuels, these effects will run away very rapidly and will become very severe very quickly. So we need to act now.
Coal-powered electricity generation has had its time.
The UK government already committed to phasing out coal-fired power stations in the next 10 to 15 years.
What coal has done for the North East is develop a tradition of engineering and science which should be used for developing renewable energy and other technologies.
Hi everybody, my name is Lynn Tate. Can I thank everybody first of all for joining us here today.
Lots and lots of people have turned up at the bay for a picnic to show their support for our campaign.
Our first guest speaker is someone who loves this area for bird watching and is a patron of Northumberland Wildlife Trust, Mr. Bill Oddie.
2016 and we're still having to protest about opencast coal mining. When I first heard about the threat here, I half thought it was a joke. I can't think of anything that is as retrograde as what they're suggesting here.
I think the consequences for jobs in this area, for wildlife, for the tourism jobs in particular, I think the impact of huge numbers of truck movements will have impacts on the roads.
This is the Northumberland coastline. We have some of the most unique and rare wildlife. This is an area of outstanding natural beauty we must protect for the long term, and having a giant opencast coal mine just over there just was never going to be something that they could sell to any of us.
I think the direct impact would be to trash the landscape. If you want evidence of that, look at the opencast sites just to the north of Newcastle.
And I thank you all for showing your support to save Druridge Bay. I believe the company value their profits above the future of life on Earth.
This area's got an intrinsic value all of its own as a place that people enjoy and people go to. We want quality environments for people to grow up in, for children to be able to use. That's the important thing about maintaining this area in its current state.
Let it not happen without meek acquiescence.
Well, I think it's really short-sighted. I think there's massive opportunity for communities in the northeast in like green technology, in green energy.
And you've just only got to open your eyes while you're standing here and look around and see as to what will be ruined by their proposal.
There will be a huge loss of tourism jobs. So that is, I think, a crucial thing that this council must consider.
I think with the spirits that's been shown here, you can win. And well done, give yourselves a big cheer. Thank you.
They need to not allow these companies to just stake a claim on land for huge profit. I can't understand under any circumstances how they could possibly allow the planning permission.
Listen to what people are saying. Listen to the thousands of people who have signed petitions, who have written letters, who have come here today.
It's a proposal for a resource that not only do we not need, It's actually dangerous. We have much better alternatives and we should be investing in those.
I've seen this area transformed for better in the last 5 years. My view is that opencast mining will snuff out these nascent embryonic changes that I see in the community to which I've belonged for my lifetime.